Well, the playoffs are underway. 3 out of the 4 home teams got a result, but Shep,
Was it good enough?
find out next on MLSnet.com's Extra Time. Hey everybody, Greg Lawless and Shep Messing here, and we have playoff fever here. A little later on, we're going to get into the second leg of the playoff series that are already underway. But first, Shep, let's start and talk a little bit about the strategy from that first leg and going into the second leg. In the first leg, all the home teams came out in that first 20, 30 minutes really pressing for the goal. 3 of them got a goal in the first half, but then they seemed to drop off.
Yeah, Greg, I thought it was really exciting. You could tell that the lower seeds, with the first game at home, they knew they had to get a result, so they came out flying. They had to gamble a little bit. They had to engage players going forward. They know that was their opportunity to build up a sufficient lead that can carry them through.
Well, do you think they got a sufficient lead enough? I mean, Kansas City got a 1-0 win over Chivas, which to me, I think was a great result for them going in, and I think they looked pretty good going against Chivas, whereas Chicago's 1-0 win over DC, maybe not as strong.
They're all a little bit different. You talk about no away team scored a goal, but no home team ended up with a 2-goal differential. So to answer the question, I think obviously New England got the best result for a top-seeded team, but I don't think any of the home teams got a sufficient lead that can carry them through.
Well, certainly not one that can carry them through confidently. Now, let's start in the Eastern Conference with the second legs. We're going to start right out there with DC and Chicago. Chicago got a 1-0 lead going into the second leg. Chris Rolfe got a great goal last week, finished it beautifully, and Chicago then sort of dropped off. Toward the end of the game, they started to give up some space. They were giving up some chances. How do you see this one playing out in DC?
I'm jumping on the DC United bandwagon. Regular season, the last 2 years, they've been the best team in the league. I thought Blanco was really ineffective in the game. Chris Rolfe, you mentioned, spectacular goal, but guess what? It was really a busted mistake. A Greg Vanney header that fell right to Chris Rolfe. I think DC United at home, I think they're going to pound Chicago.
Now, there are questions, though, for DC about their depth in attack, especially. You know, is Luciano Emilio going to be healthy in this game? Is Jaime Moreno going to be at the top of his game? I also think there are some distractions in that team. We just learned this week about Christian Gomez, Jaime Moreno leaving the team at the end of the year, possibly, maybe going to Dubai or something like that, chasing the money. But are those distractions going to get in the way?
I'll answer it twofold. First of all, you talked about the injuries. I think Tommy Sohn was playing it cautious. I think those guys could have played 90 minutes in Chicago, but he knew that this series was going to come down to the return match in D.C. So I think they're going to be healthy. I think they're going to play 90 minutes. You know, Dubai, Qatar, wherever the money is, right now, those guys want another championship ring. I think D.C. gets it done.
Well, I'm going to go the other way, and I'm actually going to say Chicago gets it done. I think they're going to pull out some sort of a draw, maybe an early goal on a free kick is going to come out of this. And bear in mind, history says Chicago has never lost to a DC United in the playoffs. The other side of the Eastern Conference sees New England and New York playing up at Foxborough. New England came down to Giant Stadium. They pretty much played for the tie, and they got the result they wanted, 0-0. New York pressed, though. They did try and get out there. They had lots of attacking chances in the first 30 minutes or so, but nothing came through.
I think Bruce Arena for New York did what he had to do tactically. He played Francis Doe, he played Josie Altidore as a left-sided midfielder, of course, Juan Pablo Angel as their main go-to striker. He knew he had to gamble, he had to press it, he had to get goals. They did everything, Greg, except get the goals.
Well, what do they do now? Because now they go up to New England and they know they need to get a result. I mean, are they really going to try and play for a 0-0? Matt Reese, keeper for New England, is great in the PK, so I can't think that New York is looking to go into PK situation. However, they are going to need to score something.
I think this is going to be no slam dunk for New England. We talked about it before. Out of all the away teams, New England got the best result.
Right.
They go home, they know, they score a goal, win the game, they're through. Having said that, I think this year, New York has done well playing up there. It took a crazy play.
The own goal, right? Carlos Mendez and John Conway, right.
So I think New York's going to go out and play for the win. I really do. I think they're going to use that similar lineup. Does he put Clint Mathis in? Because that guy's a schemer in the midfield. He's defensively a liability, but if Bruce Arena really wants to gamble, he needs that creator in the midfield. Maybe he throws Mathis in.
Well, they're certainly going to need something. I think on the other side, New England, of course, is going to come out much more attacking. In this game in New York, they sort of held Wells Thompson and Connor Smith back on the flanks playing defense. You have to think up at Gillette Stadium they're going to be pushing.
I tell you, I'm going to go against, the common train of thought is New England has the talent, they have the team, they got the result, they're going to get through. I think New York's going to shock them. I think Juan Pablo Angel is going to take this game on his shoulders. Remember, he sublimated himself a little bit in the first game. He's got the two youngsters, Altidore and Francis Dos, and Juan Pablo Angel tucked back a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
He was more of a playmaker. Right. I think he's going to step up. I think he's going to score a goal or two, and I think New York's going to win.
A goal or two? Jeez, well, I'm going to go the other way. I'm actually going to say that New England is going to get a win. I actually think they might get a goal or two. Taylor Twellman, Pat Noonan up top, they really didn't have many chances in the first game. I do think they're going to press, and I really think Steve Ralston in the middle of the midfield, playing that attacking midfield role, getting into the attack is going to be so key for them. If he doesn't float wide like he did in New York often, if he stays in the middle, I think they're just going to start to pick apart that back line of New York, which really just isn't that strong. So for me, I'm going with New England on this one. Out west, Kansas City got a 1-0 win over Western Conference champions Chivas USA. The Goats didn't look very good, didn't have much up top at all. Ante Razov is out. Galindo didn't play, although now he's listed as day-to-day. Seems like this long season, this long pro season has taken its wear and tear on Galindo's body. They go back to LA on Saturday. What happens?
I'm still trying to get used to hearing you say nil instead of zero, but I think...
I'm becoming English by the day.
I can tell. I like Chivas, Greg. I think Kansas City did well to get the goal, but not well enough. I don't think they're going to travel west, go into that hostile territory with a Chivas team. Okay, they're hurt. They've lost Ante Razov for sure, but I can't see Galindo not playing. I think he'll play well. I think they have a better team. I think they get the result.
Well, I'm going to go with Kansas City on this one. I actually think Kansas City is starting to find some sort of a stride. They scrapped out that win at home, right? They still have Eddie Johnson, who you and I both agree, not playing very well. However, maybe he's doing things off the ball that are creating chances for Seeley and for Davy Arnaud and those guys. That big field out at Home Depot Center, Davy Arnaud is going to have a field day getting up and down that side. Maybe Jose Burciaga comes in late and hits a free kick or something like that. I think there's so many problems right now. I agree with you. Jesse Marsch, Claudio Suarez, great players, but going forward, is Galindo going to be 100%? Other than that, you're left with sort of Sasha Kleshtin and maybe Jonathan Bornstein getting up the left side.
Listen, don't forget about Brad Guzan. He is going to be spectacular. He has been all year. And again, I look at the body of work over the entire season. Chivas is the better team, even without Ante Razov. So I think they find a way to create. Maybe it's a corner kick. Maybe it's a set piece, a free kick. They're going to get on the board. I think they get the result.
Okay, but you can look at the body of work. However, we need to look at it now. And if I look at it now, Chivas hasn't won in 3 games. They have only scored 1 goal in their last 3 games, been shut out their last 2. They have problems. They need a goal.
Those last 3 games don't matter. You know what matters?
You told me the whole body counts.
The next 90 minutes. And I think
That's true.
Look, I like Kurt Onalfo. I think he's done a great job with the team. I don't think man for man they match up. I think the better team will win.
And for me, that better team is going to be Kansas City. I actually think they're going to come out with a draw, maybe 1-1, even 2-2. I'm picking Jimmy Conrad for a goal for Kansas City, and KC takes the series. The other matchup out west has Dallas and Houston playing the second leg in Houston on Friday night as opposed to all the other teams playing on either Thursday or Saturday. Dallas goes in with a 1-0 lead after the first leg. It was a good result for Dallas. Houston, though, they've only got 2 goals in the last 4 games. I still think that they're going to get this one.
Yeah, Greg, I agree with you. I don't care if they play Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Houston's going to get the job done. I'm taking nothing away from Dallas. I mean, they got no production out of Kenny Cooper and Carlos Ruiz. Danielson, their designated player, their star, he couldn't even make the field.
Right, couldn't even make the field. And who's the attacking star?
Goodson.
Clarence Goodson.
He had a prolific goal scorer. So, give Dallas credit, but they needed to go into the second leg with more than a 1-goal differential. I think Houston, at home, healthy, great crowd behind them. Dominic Kinnear is going to have that back line play high, shorten the field. I think they're going to run it, Dallas. I think they're going to pound them.
Well, here's the question that then comes up. What if Dallas comes out in the first 20, 30 minutes and just pushes and pushes? They have players like, as we said, Carlos Ruiz. He's the kind of player who can just stick a thorn in the side of a defender. Maybe he spins Ryan Cochran or something, finds some space, goes up 1-0. then I think Houston has to hit somewhat of a panic button because they need to get some goals.
Greg, that's a great point, but I don't know if Stevie Morrow is going to gamble that, right? Because the two-edged sword, if he comes out pushing the game and gets hit on the counter, then it's all over. So does Stevie Morrow and Dallas play it conservatively? I agree with you. I think their only chance is to go try and get a goal against
Their only
the run.
chance.
Yeah.
They have to go for it.
But I'm picking Houston. I like them in goal. I like their back line. I love their midfield. I like De Rosario running at people. And I like Brian Ching.
Well, you've always talked about the team with that great spine up the middle, and Houston certainly has that. And I agree with you, Brian Ching. We haven't talked about him much this year at all. He seems to have been hurt almost all the year. However, he's back. He's healthy. He looked a little bit more like the Brian Ching of old, and I expect him to have a huge game Friday night. All right, so Shep, we've broken down all the matches going into the second leg. Now, just for clarity's sake, let's run down your picks of who's going to win each series.
I've got New York. I've got DC United. I've got Chivas, and I've got Houston.
And since we can't seem to agree on very much at all, I'm going to go with New England, Chicago, Kansas City over Chivas, and yes, I will go with Houston as well. Now, if you have some of your own picks, feel free to email us at extratime@mlsnet.com, and we'll try and get to those as soon as we can. Unfortunately, that's all we have this week for MLSnet.com's Extra Time. I'm Greg Lawless, that's Shep Messing, and we'll be here next week to kick it around.